What do you think of my lighting?
Hey guys, what's up? It's Portable Trevor. I'm totally Portable Trevor, and I'm here with the most handsome filmmaker in all the land. I'm here with Nathan MOWERY, just amazing abs, amazing talent, just gorgeous smile, just oozing with unbelievable sex appeal and charisma. I am just honored to be here with the Nathan MOWERY. Just his gorgeous beard, and it's just fantastic. I'm just thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. And this is a huge deal, a huge get for the Portable Trevor show. And
I just wanted to say thanks for sending me $5,000 to be here. It means a lot. I wouldn't have been here without it. I don't do any personal favors, and I'm way too big of a deal to do anything for free.
This is true. Getting Nathan MOWERY for $5,000 was a big steal. I know that normally your rate is 3 times that much.
Normally,
the fact
I once charged $50,000 to be on a show, and that was a pretty big deal.
It was just your charitable act, and that's why I'm so thankful to have you on the show. You wonderful, charitable, handsome man. Me and my big forearms are excited.
I'm very excited to be interviewed by this wonderful red-headed jean jacket wearing man.
This is true. I am red-headed and wear jean jackets.
I also have feature films that we're going to talk about, so this is a really big deal.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's exciting. I can't wait to hear about all of that. Hearing about the features and the excitement.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Portable Trevor Show. Woo!
Woo! All right. So we live in the same place, and I'm going to go back to my room now. Oh, hey! Oh,
it's crazy. The old switcheroo,
Oh, hey, Nathan. There's some really weird men in here.
Yeah, it was strange. It was very odd. It smells weird in here. I don't know what happened. So,
yeah,
anyway.
It smells like wine.
Wine now. It smells like wine. I've become a wine. Ever since I went freelance, all I do is like clean the house and drink red wine. So I'm just full on wine mom energy. I'm just about it. I'm excited.
Heck yeah. So for those of you that don't know, me and Nathan are roommates. He's a really good friend of mine. He's a good roommate, and he's also my landlord. So I give him rent every month.
Every week? That sounds exciting.
No, I do not want to pay that much every week.
Very expensive.
Right. So Nathan, let's talk about the house a little bit. So we are at the Kind Punk house. If you guys didn't know, I live with Nathan and 3 other filmmakers. That make 6 of us. Yes, I live with 5 roommates, which is so now this come to be like, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to have a house full of filmmakers?
Immediately regretted it. No, it was something that me and James Wyman thought about like a few years ago. Having a house like this where we all can just come together and just kind of create and do stuff. Like I come from the Atlanta Thunderdome from Isaac Dietz, and Isaac Dietz showing me how to work in filmmaking and stuff, and kind of gave me my beginning in work and everything. And so that was so helpful for me that I wanted to create something similar to where I could pay that forward, and like having you and like a few other people like Michaela and Chase and everybody kind of move in so that they can get their starts in their creative careers.
Yeah. So what has that been? Started this in 2019, coming up on 2 years almost. So what all has happened in between that time? Maybe not every detail, stuff, but maybe some major milestones.
Man, it's even for the house in general, it's just been, man, there's been a lot of good and bad, like owning a house. Like this is the first house that I've ever owned. Like I bought this house and I'm really excited, really proud of it. Love this house. Anybody that owns a house will tell you that
Nathan told me that Nathan told me that buying a house is super easy. Like there's nothing to it.
No, if you've ever bought a house, you know how frustrating that process is. So it was a very difficult process, but I finally got the house and I was just amped up on it. And then of course, every homeowner will tell you that it's just a never-ending project and never-ending work that you just kind of pour into all the time. So it's just whether the HVAC goes or whether it's flooding in the basement or the sink screws up or squirrels get in your attic and you have to take care of them. Like, it's just a lot of different stuff. But we've been here almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April. Yeah, I've seen a lot of just growth in the people that have been in the house. Like, some people are not even the same human beings they were when they first came in. And even like with you and Michaela, especially, y'all have gotten jobs at DDP Yoga, and you guys have done a lot of really cool creative stuff. So it's been a really fun thing to be a small part of, watching you guys grow as creatives and using this house. Like, it makes me happy. And like I said, it's like just a continuation of what Isaac Dietz did for me, and I just want to do the same for others. So that was kind of the idea of the house. And also, we just thought that the idea of just having a bunch of friends live together is just fun, and it's been fun. So I like it. And I'm kind of an introvert, so I hang out in my room a lot of the time. But overall, I'm really digging it.
So why help people for virtually nothing? Because I remember whenever you first told me about this, and I don't know, like, help me as much as you're doing to me. I was like, man, I barely know this guy, and he wants me to move in, and he wants to help me in my career. What's the catch?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a big invoice one day. No, I'm just kidding. It's
I knew it.
I'm charging you by it. No, it's but for me, dude, it's just like I said, just from the experiences that I have had, where one, if somebody believes in you, then you are able to take this like, it just it makes you want to pursue stuff better. Like, sometimes all it takes is just one person believing you to push you into the right direction. For me, it was just like when I had a few people be like, you can do this. I know they just tell me these things and they encourage me, and it makes me want to do that more. And having somebody that encourages other people is important. And I think that being someone's cheerleader or somebody like support or whatever is big for me, because I think I just want to help and support others. And DDP says, like, you can get whatever you want out of life as long as you help everybody else get whatever they want out of life. And that's just something that I believe, and I just genuinely believe if somebody can reach their goal and reach their dream or reach a big milestone in their life, and I can help them do that, and I'm the only person that can separate them from that goal, then I feel like it's my responsibility as a fellow human being to help somebody. Because I'm not like I don't have that much in the world, but what I do have and the little bit I have been blessed and been fortunate with, I want to just give back to people and help them get to where they need to go. And so that's just, I think, like, if you live and try to help other people and encourage other people and help them chase after their goals and dreams, I think that's what makes life fulfilling. It's just loving, supporting others, and making it all happen.
So recently I met Marrow, who's a former WWE pro wrestler and just one of the kindest dudes I've ever met. We were kind of talking about like how to better yourself and how to obtain more confidence. And he just simply like looked at me and was like, you want to know how to get better at life, Trevor? Help people. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He said, it's important to work on yourself, but I think you get better the more you help people. He's like, the more I've helped people, the better of a person I've become. And I feel like I've not helped that many people. I've been focusing on myself these past 2 years, but I feel like that might be true for you. Is that, would you say that's correct?
No, it has, man. And that's the thing. It's just like, dude, just helping other people in general. And like I said, you just gotta believe in others and and everything. I think for me that definitely rings true. I feel like my life is a lot better because of it and everything. And it's just good to also just build relationships. And you never know, like, if it's one thing where I'm just like, this guy needs to meet this guy, so I'm going to put them together. And then later on down the line, that guy's like, oh, I know how I can help Nathan, and then so on and so forth. And so it's just this never ending thing of like it's good to try to outserve one another and just try to help other people out. You know, it's like, oh, you're going to help me with this? Well, I'm also going to help you with this, not out of obligation, but because I just think it's the right thing to do, and it's just the most fulfilling way to live life. You know, like I said, I'm very introverted, so a lot of times I just kind of keep to myself, but I do try, you know, to help people where I can. You know, and if people ever need if there's anything I could do to help somebody, and like, just let me know. I'll do the best that I can within reason.
I'll keep that in mind. I'm just kidding. So my dad in the comments asked, where does kind punk come from?
Nice. It has a lot of different kind of meanings for me. I wanted to two things that mean a lot to me is kindness, and I also believe punk and that subculture is very important to me, because I believe in sometimes going against the grain or doing things a very untraditional way, or unapologetically being who you are and who you were created to be. And no matter what pressures the world puts on you, that you stay authentic and you walk the path less traveled. And for me, in my own career and life in general, I choose to, you know, rebel against, you know, the norm and everything. But I'm also a big believer in kindness. And I think being kind in the world of production, because a lot of times people kind of forget why we all got into art and creating to begin with. And, you know, going on big sets and everything, it's just kind of like, it just feels very strict, and it feels like a very like intense job stuff, and it just takes the fun out. For me, I just want to keep the fun aspect, why we did it when we were, the same reason why we picked up cameras when we were kids to make stuff. And I also believe that kindness is an act of rebellion, because I feel like everybody's natural response is hatred and anger. And the world's really, really stirred up with a lot of different angers and frustrations. So if I can just create a video or an outlet, or just something that's fun to kind of help people escape or just laugh or just have fun or whatever, whether it be in the video or by watching it, I think that's kind of how I want to do that. So kindness and punk are the two ways I want to approach life, art, and career and people. And that's how it just made sense. And it's a very easy thing to kind of roll off the tongue. And it also sounds like an oxymoron. So it gets people asking questions of like, oh, kind and punk, what does that even mean? So that's kind of in a nutshell. I could ramble on about that for a long time, but that's kind of what the general idea of it kind of is.
Yeah, so I feel like I forgot to say this, but Kind Punk is Nathan's film company. But what's beautiful about it, and another reason I was so drawn towards Nathan and just moving here to Atlanta, is that, you know, there's so many film companies that are just, you know, we do film, but you made it more than film. You made it like a lifestyle. You made it like a way of thinking, rather than just saying like, hey, if you want to hire me, hire Kind Punk. Like, I'm looking at your website now. First of all, on the homepage, it says in really big letters, "We will not film your wedding." Mm-hmm. Nathan, do you care to explain that?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to make a statement of just like, if you're hiring me or James, you're not hiring somebody to do talking head corporate videos, because I've done that for a long time, and I've done corporate head talking stuff forever, but now I've been fortunate enough to kind of carve out my own little niche in the world where I don't have the need to do corporate videos or a need to do wedding videos. And when you become a filmmaker, wedding videos seem to be the easiest way to make a lot of money, or an easy like thing. And I'm not saying it's wrong to shoot weddings, and I think it's totally cool if you want to do that. But for me, I'm not big on it, and I've shot a few, and I just don't particularly like it. It's very high. It's very high stress, and it's also like the first wedding I ever filmed, like the power went off, like and so they were like, wouldn't it be cute if we did the rest of the wedding like with no lights? And so that just made my footage look like garbage. And
I turned all the way up.
No, it was. And this was like in 2011, 2012. So I had my T2i, which doesn't have a lot of, love when it comes to boosting that ISO. It gets grainy real quick. So the wedding video looked like hot garbage. And like something happened when I was filming the reception, like I captured a card wrong or whatever. This was back when I was super green as grass. And like, I just like screwed it up. And so like I missed all the reception or whatever, like the card got lost. So they were very upset. I told them they didn't have to pay me. And I was like, I hate doing this. And then I did like 2 more where they went well. So I was like, okay, I had to redeem myself. But now it's like, it's not worth it. I'd rather just do music videos and pro wrestling and just weird artsy stuff. So, which has
Amazing.
been.
And I wanted to read your about, because I love it. I think it's
I don't even
brilliant.
know what I said. Yeah.
You don't even know what it says?
No, I don't remember. I remember James asked.
So this is what it says in the about section. Southern hospitality meets punk rock creativity. Amazing. It says everything about your brand, which is awesome. 2 misfits got fed up with the mundane. They started a film production company / marketing agency that is for and from the underdogs. It turns into something bigger, a larger creative community and communal living space. Punk rock DIY attitude plus Southern hospitality plus creative freedom equals kind punk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
We're all. It's funny because we're all from the school of punk. We all grew up going to punk shows and listening to punk music and being a part of that culture. But for me, I also grew up very Southern, like yourself. You know, we both grew up in
Tennessee.
Grew up in Tennessee. You grew up in Bradley County. I grew up in Polk County, neighboring counties. Yep. Same very areas. I would say I would argue very similar upbringings and same kind of cultural background that kind of made us who we are as people. So it's kind of hard to wash out the Southernness, you know, and that there's a lot of stuff about the
a lot
South.
of people would call me a city boy now, I think, but I am very much proud of my Southern roots.
Yeah, that's how it is. You know, like, you know, I'll get called a city slicker by my family or whatever now and again, you know, but it's like, but I'm still very much Southern. I feel like there's a lot of ethics and morals I grew up with that like you know, kind of just carry over into what I want Kind Punk to be. You know, Southern hospitality, just helping your neighbor, just doing whatever you can just to help other people out. And yeah, I just want everyone to be treated well.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, that's Nathan's company. And so Nathan was actually on this shit. So if you want to learn more about Nathan personally, go watch that episode. It's really great. I had a good time talking to him. And so now Nathan has 3, count them, 3 feature films out now. And we're going to talk about all 3 of them because Nathan, ever since I've met him, he has been hard at work almost on all 3 of these, I think. Is that fair to say?
For the most part, yeah. Yeah, but the cherry bomb one.
Totally. So which one would you start off with first?
Which one talking about?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Which one do you want me to talk about first? Because you're.
Let's talk about, you know, something that we both are kind of connected to, which is Relentless. What? I was like, are you wiping off a bug?
Yeah, just wanted to PowerPoint at you.
Oh, PowerPoint. So yeah, let's talk about Relentless because we're connected to the one and only Diamond Dallas Page. He is my boss and your former boss. Nathan made a whole documentary about the legendary DDP and his run with wrestling and how DDP yoga came to be. So yeah, Nathan, tell me about that. First of all, tell me how you got connected with Diamond Dallas Page.
So I got connected through one of my old roommates who was at the Thunderdome, which I was mentioned earlier, ended up getting a job at DDP Yoga back in 2013. And at that time, I wasn't really doing so hot in Atlanta. I was still kind of newer, trying to build up clientele and just trying to get some work. And I remember I was like really hassling this guy to pay me $50 for this video I did. And it was like some of the only money I was going to make that month. And I was like, man, this kind of sucks. Like, I really need to start, you know, doing something. And my buddy hit me up and was like, hey, you still an editor? And I was like, I am. They're like, you still love pro wrestling? I was like, absolutely. And they said that DDP was looking for another editor if I wanted to come try out. And then I got an interview and I talked to Steve, and Steve liked me and gave me a little trial run. And then they hired me on full time. So it was Steve Yu. Yeah, it was awesome. And that was in 2013. And then I stepped away to do my own thing back in the summer. So I was there for majority of my adult life. I worked for Dallas. And in 2016, I believe, I started on a project that's called Relentless. And It was basically not just Dallas's history, but mainly and primarily focusing on the history of DDP Yoga and that company. Because to the outside world, you see a successful company like DDP Yoga, and you don't really think about all the stuff that kind of went into it and all the blood, sweat, and tears that Dallas, Steve, and company have really put into the building of this company. Dallas put all of his savings, his safety net from pro wrestling into this company. So it was like it had to work. Otherwise, Dallas would have not had anything. So it's a really an inspiring story of just kind of betting on yourself and just making it happen. And, that's the thing with DDP is he takes bets on himself, and he always comes out on the other side with just amazing results and situations. So I can never say enough good things about Dallas. Dallas is the reason that I'm, a filmmaker, and a reason I'm still a filmmaker, and he inspired me to believe in myself. And when you're editing something like Relentless for the course of 3 years, that's a lot of footage to go through. It's a very dense doc as far as content, because I had to pull hours and hours. If you know anything about Dallas and his company, it's just we're just filming nonstop. So we just have this crazy backlog of footage and crazy success stories. If you know anything about DDP Yoga, you know about the radical and crazy transformations that have happened through the program, through DDPY, just people losing crazy weight or just fixing stuff in their heads and their personal lives. And it's just felt like every other day there was just this life-altering story that walked in, and it became this thing that you would only hear in big news stories, felt like the norm every day. So sitting around and just seeing this constantly, it's hard not to be inspired by. And so Relentless is kind of a compilation in a way of a lot of those stories. If we made Relentless and included every single one of Dallas's accolades and every single person whose lives have been affected by DDP or DDP Yoga, then the documentary would be weeks long, because it would be endless. But it's a little
that'll be the live stream version.
Yeah, it'd just be a never-ending event. But luckily, luckily it doesn't have to be that long. So we truncated it all these years down into about a good feature length. It's a little bit over an hour, and it's on Amazon Prime for free. That's $0. So that means you can go make a Prime account and go check it out if you don't have it. So yeah, just get the free Prime trial and then cancel it before they charge your card. Watch it for free. You mean,
Nathan, I can spend no dollars out of my bank account?
See, that's right. I'm all about y'all watching my stuff and also looking out for you guys. You got to be frugal in this day and age. Yeah, I mean, it's on Amazon Prime, and it seems to be doing well, and it's gotten a lot of great response. And I'm very proud of it. It's my feature doc kind of debut. It's just a really beautiful story. And I'm very thankful that I played a small part in the history of DDP Yoga. And forever, I can't say it.
What do you hope people get out of this doc? Do you want them to learn about Dallas, or do you want them to be inspired and motivated? What do you hope people get out of this? What's the point of the doc?
It's, a lot, there's criticism online where it's just oh, this is just a long DDP Yoga commercial. And it's not. It's and it's not even really a showcase of Dallas as much as it's really just there's this person that believes in himself so much that regardless of what people tell him, regardless of being mocked or laughed or whatever he just decides to do it anyway. And he does it to the best of his ability, and he works harder than anybody to make it happen. And that's a very inspiring thing, because I do believe that if we completely just tune out other people, all the naysayers and haters that get on our case and tell us, hey, you can't do this, or doing this is going to be you just got to ignore those voices and just pursue what it is that you're put on this earth to pursue. And Dallas is a great, if not the best example of that I've seen in my life, of just somebody that just goes for it. And the cool part is it's just this backlog of the first, I'd say 80% of the documentary is just Dallas's history up until present time. And then we capture in present time at the end of the movie, Dallas having to kind of walk his walk and not just talk the talk, where he was presented. It was actually a year ago on this day, which is funny that I'm bringing this up. So if you want to see where Relentless ends, it happened exactly 1 year ago as of today. And that's when DDP had a match at All Elite Wrestling And he's like, man, here I am talking about like believing in myself and putting in the work. And now, and he's like in his mid 60s and he's about to go wrestle on TV. Like, this is huge. And he goes out there and he kills it. I remember in the interview before, he's like, I know I want to go out there and I know I'm going to crush it because it's who I am and it's what I do. And then he goes out there with such confidence in himself, dives off that top rope like no man his age should be doing. And the whole crowd pops like crazy. And that's just who Dallas is. And it's just like, I'll always speak highly of him, and I'll always just think of those kind of moments. And like, it's just like, and it's hard not to, and it's kind of like, it was funny because like editing that is kind of like a big inspiration of why I even left DDP Yoga, because it gave me such motivation to believe in myself and take a chance on myself. And that's what I believe, man. If it's like, if there's something that you want to do and want to pursue, I've always said this, you only get so many trips around the sun before it's all over. We're all going to die. Me, you, everyone listening to this, everybody that we've ever interacted with, we're all going to die one day. We're all going to, be put into the ground. So before that happens, we only have one chance. There's no like, oh, well, I had a dream of being in a band, so now I can't really do it. Like, no, like you're when you're dead, you're dead. There's no do-over. There's no take two. You're done. You have to like make sure that you make this life your own, and you make this life how you want to live it, while also respecting like the people that you also share this earth with, and trying to help other people reach that as well.
Absolutely. What's like a, since you've worked for Dallas and as doc for so many years now, what's like a misconception or maybe something not a lot of people know about Dallas?
That's a good question. This is what pops into my head. I don't know why. Well, here's just a few random little Easter egg facts about Dallas. One, Dallas loves eggs. He's like an egg snob.
Does.
He's an egg snob. He like gets really intricate with his eggs. Everybody is like scared to make eggs for him because he just makes them in a very specific kind of way. I would never dare to make Dallas eggs because I know my egg making ability is not up to that level. But I just know that he's very particular about eggs. I don't know why that came into my head, but that's one thing. Dallas is also a big fan of country music, which is something that I was surprised by, and that's something I'm also a big fan of country music. So me and Dallas have went to a few concerts together and stuff. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. Who'd you go see?
Yeah, we've seen Darius Rucker together. We saw Florida Georgia Line together. We saw Brantley Gilbert together.
Awesome.
We saw just a bunch of we've seen Justin Moore on a few occasions because he's good friends with Justin Moore. I even have a video of Dallas hitting Justin Moore with a diamond cutter on stage. Like he goes for a diamond cutter, and Dallas was doing that as just for a joke, and then Justin was like, "All right, we're gonna sell it." Boom! He just like goes down, and Dallas is like, "Oh," and it goes down with him. It was pretty great. So, on my YouTube channel, it should have more views than it does.
Nice. And you said there's a third thing?
That there was, but I don't remember what it was. So I have very short memory. But if it comes back to me, I'll fill you in. But eggs and country music, that was about the best I can do with extra Dallas information. So sorry there wasn't more, exciting.
So tell me about the process of making this. And I'm not saying this is, a lesser film or yours, but Nathan and I watched the Last Dance documentary series last year, and it's phenomenal. And one of the biggest compliments I could give it is just how much archive footage they had to go through. Like going through all of that footage and making a cohesive story out of that seemed like the worst task in the world for that kind of documentary. So doing a documentary like this, and I know you had help editing this, was that a challenge for you?
That took a long time because like I said, DDP Yoga, we're just sitting on eternity of like footage and everything. It's just never ending stories. So it was kind of just a matter of
Nathan's real about that. As soon as you go anywhere, you have to hit record as soon as you enter there in DDP Yoga. Dallas wants you to record the whole thing.
Yeah, Dallas is like never turn off the camera because the second you do, that's when the good stuff happens. And that was just when we used to work back at Dallas's house and everything. Like we would always just have a camera ready because you just never know when something crazy is going to happen. You just had to hit record and just go with it. So so it took a long time. to say the least. Like I said, it was 2016 when we started this project, and it just finished up and came out at the very end of December of this past year. So that's several years of you know, editing and, you know, fixing little stuff. So it ended up being a really cool project. I'm really proud of it, and Dallas is really proud of it. And it's just been great. And I've had wrestlers like, you know, message me and people about it, and like just some cool stuff.
Nice. What's the best thing that's come out of this so far?
Relentless.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I think our goal, it's much like kind of like when we did the Resurrection of Jake the Snake. And I think sometimes if you put a piece of art or something out in the world that its intent is to help and inspire others, I think that's what it's going to be. And I think it's going to be, there's going to be at least, for me, if there's like one or two people that watch this and they're just like, you know what, I got to get my act together and I have to like make my life better than what it is. And I do believe that will happen, looking at the history of what the kind of stuff that Dallas has done in the past. So I think that will be the best thing to come out of it. Right now, it's literally just got released like a week or two ago. So there's not a lot has happened. I mean, I've gotten a lot of like, you know, positive feedback from people saying that they felt inspired, and it's done like a lot of like good stuff. Like I've gotten a lot of very inspiring messages, but I know in the long run of things, I hope that, and I think that it will inspire people to make their life the best life possible. And I can't wait for DDP Yoga to start telling those stories here coming a few months or in a year or whatever, for people who saw this and changed in a good way.
That's awesome. You guys can go you can go watch Relentless now on Amazon Prime for free. Highly recommend it. I was very inspired by it. It'll make you want to get up and run and start doing some DDP yoga. I actually, this was my very first week doing DDP yoga. I've worked there for over a year now, and today marks 5 days in a row that I did DDP yoga, and I have drinking the DDP yoga Kool-Aid. It works. I feel amazing. It'll make you feel amazing. It'll give you more energy, flexibility, strength, all that stuff. Isn't an ad. I'm not paid to say this. I wish I was. Really quick comment that I'll get you to answer real quick, Nathan, then we'll move on to the other docs. How much time is involved in a good music video from start to finish? We just got to comment on that. So yeah, we'll move on to the next documentaries after this. But Nathan is a music video filmmaker. That is primarily what he does. That is his bread and butter. So Nathan, how much time is typically involved in these music videos?
Well, it kind of just depends. Like, for instance, if it's just like, hey, we like from the beginning of just like coming up with ideas, it's usually just like a couple of phone calls, and then I'll kind of get what the artist wants out of their video or song, and then I'll just come up with some ideas, and I'll write a treatment, and I'll pitch it to them. And if they like it, we'll set a date, we'll go and we'll film. Usually I film, like, to do a music video, it's like either just 1, maybe 2 days. I'm pretty efficient with knowing what I want to get. So when I go, I usually my music video shoots go by a lot faster, it seems, than a lot of other sets, because I've just done it so much. I know exactly what I need, and I don't have to like waste time on all this extra nonsense. But
Nathan is the fastest editor I know. I watch him and I'm like, wizard.
And that's the thing. And I would say that I am a very fast and efficient editor. I think that's my strongest suit. So, I mean, like, I could, like, if it was one of those things where it's like, hey, we're going to do a music video next week, can you turn it around? Like, I could write, shoot, edit, and have it finalized. I mean, with the Judas video, like, we shot, edited, and got approved in the same night. So it's usually a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, usually it takes me just maybe a week or two to like edit it if it's just me, like, without getting interrupted or whatever. Maybe just a week all added together. And it just depends, because I'll send it to bands, and sometimes bands will be like, oh, can we change these things? And then we'll do some exchanges of notes. But the whole process, it's like maybe a month at the most, and then we just kind of sit like on it for when it never needs to get out. So, and there's been music videos, like there's one called Bad Kisser by Chris Stalkup and The Grange. I shot back in 2017. That dropped on January 1st. So it's just like, sometimes, you just sit on videos for a long time.
That's true. Nathan and I edited a music video last year, and I was in. I still have not seen a day to it.
Oh yeah, I
I
don't
think
know
you know
if
which
they.
one I'm talking about.
I do. It's funny because like a few months ago, like somebody requested access to that video like 100 times, and I was like, maybe they're gonna put it out, but I haven't heard anything. They've gone radio silent, so I don't know if it's something I said or did, or they seem to really like the video. It was pretty straightforward video.
Oh well, you paid me, so that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, you know. Ever got paid? That's what counts.
So let's move on to the next documentary because we got 3, which is ridiculous still. So let's move on to Macabre since that's that released on January 1st this year, and that is with the Cherry Bombs and Alicia Taylor, who started it, who has actually been on this show. So if you want to learn more about the Cherry Bombs and Alicia Taylor and just the rock and roll industry, go watch that episode with Alicia Taylor. It's also my most viewed, not to brag about.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about Cabaret and your involvement with the Cherry Bombs.
Yeah, so Alicia Taylor, she's like one of my best friends. I say that she's kind of like an older sister to me in a lot of ways. Like she always offers me really good advice, whether it be career advice or life advice or whatever, just a really solid human being. I met her at the Judas video, which was, the Fozzy Judas video, and I needed like dancers for the background, and I didn't know like a lot of rock and roll kind of dancers, and I had my friend Gio come, and the makeup artist was like, oh, my friend Alicia, this is kind of like her thing, and so she came out and I met her there, and we just hit it off and became friends, and she was like, hey, do you want to come shoot like this? I have this thing called the Cherry Bombs. It's like this rock and roll dance group, and they like do stuff on silks, and it's like silks and pole and fire breathing and like dancing. And recently Alicia has like implemented like flamingo and bullwhip, and like it's just like a lot of different styles of dance and circus, and it's a very exciting like type of show. It's badass. I highly recommend it. So Alicia, like I've been working with them for a few years now, and I did this documentary series called Girl Gang, which you can watch for free on YouTube. And that was just me following them around and then just catching all the crazy stuff that happened to them, because stuff naturally just happens to the Cherry Bombs for whatever reason, especially when I have a camera around, whether it's just like people at venues being difficult to work with, or like when we did a show in Mexico City at Knot Fest, and there was like a legit riot broke out, like, and they broke down barricades. Like, it's just like so much insane stuff happens. But I did a lot of documentary work and just do a lot of different stuff with them. But there's this thing called Macabre, and this was like a vision that Alicia had for like a really long time. And it's like I have a hard time describing what it even is, because it's like, even when I was filling it out for IMDb, I didn't even know what to put it as a genre, because it's a mix of like, it's kind of like a concert film, but it's also a narrative. It's kind of like a horror movie, and it's also abstract, very artsy fartsy in a lot of ways. And it feels like if you know like the
before you go further, tell everyone the God, what's it called? Tell everyone how much time you had to finish this from when you filmed it to whenever it premiered.
Oh yeah, so this was all like the last like 3 months of the year or something. I don't remember when we started it, but I think it was like the last 3 months of the year, from starting to finish, from the first shot we got of it to it being exported finally. It was
what crazy person does a feature film in 3 months?
And it was, so it was a lot of editing. But that's the thing, man. It's just like, if I'm in the zone and I just have a gallon of coffee in me, I'll just take it out. So, but luckily, like we got it done, because it was like one of those things where like Alicia was selling tickets before I even started editing it. So I was like, all right, I have to get it done. Like I'm not going to look like an idiot or make her look dumb. Like, so I was just like, I have to just focus. And I was like, this is a big task, and it like, so I stayed up really late and just really focused in and made it happen. But it's kind of like, you ever see the musical Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, where it's like, basically Macabaret is the Cherry Bomb stage show, but done in a narrative form. So it's about this guy that's traveling through the desert, and he sees like all these hitchhikers on the side of the road, and he decides not to pick them up. And when he drives by, the hitchhikers bust out into this dance, like they do like a Cherry Bomb performance, and then he goes to the saloon, and then a bunch of just crazy things happen. It's very Kill Bill meets House of a Thousand Corpses meets Chicago meets like dance. It's just a lot of elements. I have no idea how to explain it. I would just go to mine or their Instagram pages and kind of get a feel for it yourself. It's a very difficult thing to explain, but visually it's like my favorite thing I think I've made, because just from like the costumes to just the performance and the fire, and like we had access to just giant flamethrowers and everything courtesy of our friends at Pyrotech in Las Vegas. So we got to use some big fire and like do this thing called an aerial cube, where we suspended this cube out in the middle of the desert, and it was on fire, and Connie and Krista were spinning around on it, and it just visually like a lot. So I'm just really proud of how that turned out. It's a really cool video. It live streamed I think 6 different times at the beginning of the year, and there's no place to watch it currently, but hopefully in the future we'll find another way for everybody to get a second chance. I think we're planning on making another watching or another stream kind of situation, so we'll just kind of play it by ear and see what's up. I'm really proud of it, and I hope everyone checks it out. It's really creepy in a great way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool. So since it's so hard to explain, how did Alicia pitch it to you?
You know, it was funny because originally we were just going to, Alicia was like, she was like, I kind of just want to do this quick, almost like Cherry Bomb sampler kind of thing, where it's like, it would be, all right, we danced to the song More Human Than Human by Rob Zombie. So we'll show like 30 seconds to a minute of that dance, and then it'll be a cutscene that will bring us to us dancing, or bring it to them dancing to another song. And originally we were going to do like 10 minutes of just kind of highlights and just like a nice package to put up online for people to be like, hey, we can't do shows right now because of the pandemic, but here's the Cherry Bombs. But as we were shooting, Alicia was like, this stuff is really cool. We should just make this grow. And she asked me, she's like, hey, are you down to like turn this into like more? Do you want it to, can this be like a feature film? And I was like, hell, let's do it. Let's just make it work. And we did. Alicia is very hardworking. I'm very hardworking. Everybody in the Cherry Bombs, everybody that's associated with Alicia just busts their ass, dude. Like I go out there and like see how hard they work, and I feel bad. I'm like, I got to step my game up. These girls are really just killing it. So yeah, Alicia just like, hey, let's do like a feature length one. And I was down, and she wrote out longer parts and different scenes, and we kind of got weird abstract visuals, and it's just a weird thing. So it's really creepy, and it's kind of like a horror movie in a way. So it's just it's a really pretty abstract piece of dark art and music in a way. And I'm really proud of it. So Alicia directed it. I shot and edited everything. And anytime that me and Alicia get together, we just collab real well.
So you said earlier in that I think would be really good to get into. So, you know, with the pandemic and everything, you know, I couldn't imagine what musicians and people like Alicia were thinking, where, you know, a huge majority of their income involved, you know, going on tour and performing in front of huge crowds of people, and then COVID came along. But there's also something beautiful about being so limited in what you can do. And, you know, that's kind of what we were taught at the Thunderdome. Isaac has like these challenges that he'll give us in filmmaking, and they limit us. And out of that comes creativity, I think. And so what can you speak on that as someone, you know, that works with these big names and big brands and everything? Because, you know, as a filmmaker, you got to think on your feet all the time. So to be limited,
yeah,
creates more things.
Yeah, man. It's like I always make the joke, like when we're on set or we're working and we're doing something and something goes wrong, like usually creatives like are like I feel like I'm not a creative as much as I'm just like a professional problem solver. Like when I'm doing stuff, and I feel like I can go for a lot of different filmmakers who've been doing it for a long time. So for me, it's just like, okay, well now we have to come up with a creative way of having performances and also just getting our art out there. So for Cherry Bombs, it was let's make a concert film and put that out and do it differently. And just a lot of finding different mediums to make content. I mean, you started this kind of deal, like, and this is like a new medium and everything for you to get your information, your stuff, and your creativity out there. And so it's just about like, anytime like walls are set up, like it's the creatives like goal to get out of those boundaries and barriers to continually do whatever. So it's just a matter of figuring that out. But luckily, like, with people like Isaac and people like that live in this house, we always find good alternatives to get our content out. And yeah, I've been just as busy as ever. The pandemic hasn't slowed me down at all. So it's just, we just have to do things in a different way, whether it's just get COVID tests and wear masks and go, or it's a matter of figuring out how to make music videos without interacting with the band, whether it's just me and one friend going out shooting visuals for a song of theirs or something. Like that's kind of the fun challenge of it all, is just making it your own and figuring out how to make it work in the circumstances that you're given. And I think that's a good thing just to do in any kind of situation or problem.
What advice would you give filmmakers that kind of have that woe is me mentality? Something good's going for them, and then it just gets taken away so easily, and then it feels like they're a turtle laying on their back.
Yeah, man, it's like at the end of the day, and you're kind of just responsible for you. It's like you're the one that has to motivate yourself. You're the one that has to do the work. You're the one that has to do that. Like if you have a goal and it's just like, I want to make a feature film this year, but you don't write, you don't read any books on it, you don't put pen to paper, you don't move on it, guess what? You're never going to make a feature film, and that's nobody's fault but yourself. So you can't blame anybody else. You have to do the work. You have to move towards something. If you have a goal, you have to work in order to get it. And I think like sometimes we get put in circumstances that are beyond our control, and life in general, not outside of the pandemic, outside of filmmaking, but just life in general, you'll get sidelined or hit by something unexpected, and it happens to me, happens to you, happens to everyone. And if it hasn't happened yet, it will. So it's just a matter of making sure you're prepared for when shit hits the fan, because eventually it will. And you have to motivate yourself and realize that you're the only person that's going to really make or break you. So when you feel boxed in, whatever, like you just have to find a way to get out. Like just find a way of staying inspired. For me, there's certain bands I listen to that make me creatively inspire me, or certain movies that I watch, or certain interview. Like there's certain bands or public figures I'll like go on YouTube and watch interviews of, just because I'm really fascinated with how their mind works. And there's just a lot of ways of staying inspired, and just kind of just like you're a creative, so you just need to find a creative way of making that work. So, and that's the thing Dallas says, there's better than, worse than, and different than, and you should always strive to go different than. So you just carve your own path, carve your own niche in the world. That's my advice to people. Like I'm the music video pro wrestling guy in my circle, and so that's what I get hired for the most. That's my niche I've carved out, and it's the niche that I thrive in. So yeah, just stop feeling sorry for yourself and work harder. I know it's probably not an inspirational message, but that's my kind of belief on it. Maybe that's just the southernness in me, but I do believe in that you can get a lot out of life if you just work hard and just a good person.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you're ahead of everyone.
No, not really.
Yeah, you are.
But,
so yeah, now let's move on to the last one. And don't get mad at me for this, Mom. This is really what the movie's called. But this film is called I'm Too Old for This Shit.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, did you
Hey, baby. What's up?
what happens when you say the shit word.
See, this is what happens when you become a little cuss bucket. The internet just wants to kick you out.
Yeah. This was God's way of saying, don't cuss Trevor.
This is what you get. The wages of sin, dude.
Man, that was loud. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Turn that off. That hurt.
Oh.
So high pitched.
Yeah, Michaela's like, how's the interview? I'm in it right now.
That's funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's get back into it. I will definitely cut that out.
Anywho.
So, okay. So, Nathan has another documentary called I'm Too Old for This Shit. And it's really good. I watched it a couple months ago when it was still in like one of the final versions. And my mom just commented and said, it's because I'm watching.
Yeah, that's what it was. The internet was like, nope, can't have you saying a bad word from your mom. We got to cut this out.
Oh, we're saving. The internet actually saved me.
See, you could have gotten grounded.
Mom, please don't grab me. I'm only 26 years old.
Yeah, I'm grounding you now, Trevor.
No.
PlayStation or YouTube. Okay.
No, the only things I do when I come home. All right, so Nathan has a third documentary, and this one, I would argue, has one of the most unique hooks to it. And, the other one, has Diamond Dallas Page, and, I think the Cabaret, you have Alicia Taylor, and Corey Taylor, did he produce it or anything?
Did he what?
Did he produce it or anything, the Cabaret?
Nah, not really. He just kind of made a few cameos, but you don't even see his face. We credit him as Alicia Taylor's husband because articles tend to refer to Alicia as Corey Taylor's wife. So we decided to credit him as Alicia Taylor's husband instead, which was fun.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I hate it though. The best article I've ever seen in my life was it was about you. It was Corey Taylor's husband or Corey Taylor's wife's friend tweet.
Yeah, I was somebody in some article one day wrote me as Corey Taylor's wife's friend, which is okay. That should be in my Twitter bio.
Yeah, Alicia's bio, because so many websites talk about Corey, and it's like, what did Corey Taylor think?
Mm-hmm.
And her bio says something like, I know what Corey Taylor thinks all the time.
Oh yeah, hers is I get to hear what Corey Taylor thinks more than anybody.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, those have really good hooks, but this film is about just getting a band back together and playing a really big show, and Chris Jericho produces it, which is really cool. We'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, tell me how you got involved in this project and what the heck is this about? Yeah, so I'm too old for this shit, which I checked with my mom. She's okay with me having a movie called this, so we're good. We're in the clear. But no, this was the end of 2017. It was December 2017, and Jericho calls me and says hey, I have this friend. His name's Ed Aborn, and some pretty crazy stuff has been happening in his life. And I suggested that we do a documentary. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And so Jericho put me in touch with Ed, and I talked to Ed on the phone, and me and Ed talked on the phone for a good while. And he was kind of telling me, the whole story. And essentially what this documentary is about in the 80s, there was a band called Siren, and they were from Brandon, Florida, and they were a heavy metal band. And they were just a bunch of teenagers just trying to make it, and they were getting some good momentum, and things were starting to look promising when a couple of things just kind of went sideways, and then they ended up, splitting up and just kind of continuing on with their lives, and, went on just to be regular adults. And then 30-something years pass, and now they're just dads and just having very low-key, normal, lives. And out of nowhere, Ed gets his starts getting emails from all these fans of his band from back in the 80s. And he's like, hey, do you still have this demo, or can we listen to music, or do you have a print of this? And it was just several emails that kind of just came out of nowhere. And Ed's like, oh, I'm getting asked a lot of the same questions. I'm going to write a book. So Ed writes this book about the history of Siren. He puts it out there, and the old singer Doug finds this, and he's been kind of missing in action for a while. And so because of this book, it kind of brings the singer and the drummer together. And then that's at around the same time when they got offered to play Keep It True.
And Keep It True is like just a pure heavy metal festival that's in Germany. And diehard heavy metal just eat, sleep, and breathe heavy metal. And there was a guy who grew up loving Siren back in the 80s and it was his dream to see Siren play live. And so he got this promoter to reach out to them saying like, hey, like, can Siren get back together and play this festival? And so my documentary is basically from that point on, and it's in real time, in the moment, candid. I'm just filming what happens, filming these people, like asking old members to get back in the band, filming their band practices, them going to Europe in order to play their dream show. So it's kind of a crazy thing. It just literally goes from like the last show that they played before this major show, I wasn't even born. So it's been a good chunk of time that's, you know, happened. So it's a story of friends putting their differences aside. It's a good friendship story, a good inspirational story of it never being too late to accomplish your dream or go for your dream and make it work. Like they all thought this was way past them. Like they never thought that they would ever be in a band again, but never even more so playing a massive festival in Europe to people chanting their band name. You know, it's a kind of a crazy story. And there was times while I was filming it, I was holding my camera, I'm just thinking like, I can't believe this is happening right in front of my camera right now. The way it unfolded feels like a scripted movie, but it's just, I was just a fly on the wall, and I just sat there quietly and filmed everything. Sometimes I'd ask them a couple of questions, but for the most part, this is how it naturally unfolded. And I think it feels like it naturally unfolded that way too, which that's what I hate about documentaries or reality shows, is that a lot of it seems kind of like fake or scripted. This isn't scripted at all, man. It's just, this is literally how it unfolded. I wish I was that good of a writer, but this is how.
That's insane. What was your favorite moment?
Dude, there's like, and I don't want to give it away. And you can also watch this on Amazon Prime, and you can watch this on iTunes and Vudu and Google Play and Xbox. So got to get them plugs in, you know. But my favorite part was there's this character named Greg, and he is probably the most wholesome human being ever. Greg is like the bass player of Siren, and he's just this older heavy metal guy, has long white hair, wears a leather jacket. It gets lost constantly, and he legit got lost as many times as we show in the movie, and then some. I didn't want to keep showing him getting lost because it ended up being a redundant bit, and he did get lost that many times. It wasn't like a funny thing like we threw in because we thought we threw it in for the LOLs. He really did legitimately get lost that much. But there's like a moment where it was like right before they played the show, and me and Greg are just walking, and Greg walks out to this field. He has a beer, and he's just kind of overlooking the festival, and he's starting to get emotional. And he's like, he said, outside of marrying my wife and having my daughters, this is the most meaningful moment of my life, kind of thing. And he kind of is brought to tears. And like, it was such a raw and beautiful moment to share with another person, but also to kind of experience then that it was just like, man, this means so much to these guys. And just to be, you know, on the ride with them was something I'll never forget. And it's one of my favorite journeys I've ever been on. It's one of my favorite stories that I've ever had to tell. And I would probably say it's like, it's probably my favorite thing that I've made. So I'm really proud of it.
That's awesome. So who is Siren like? And whenever I watched it, I was like, these guys are a bunch of characters. Like all of them are so different and unique in their own ways. And it just makes for a great story.
Yeah. I was like, I hope these guys won't, because that's me and Jericho were talking about that before we were shooting, before we get to the show. Because that's the thing about shooting a documentary where you're filming a time period leading up to an event. You're like, well, what if we get to this event and nobody's there and nobody cares, or the promoter's lying about the show and it becomes boring? Then we're like, well, if it ends up being this inspirational story for a huge letdown, then in a way, that's a great story worth documenting. We were just hoping it didn't go okay, because then that would just not be a good story. Either had to be amazing or horrible. That's the only two ways this documentary would work. But luckily, it ended up being great to not terrible for them, which is obviously what I was hoping to happen. So.
That's awesome. So Chris Jericho produced this. Tell me how, that came to be, because it's just so random. Chris Jericho's producing this documentary for this band to come back together, and sounds like he wasn't even sure what was going to happen.
Yeah, like I said, like he called me at the end of December in 2017, but he knew Ed for like a really long time. He was just he knew that Ed was in bands, but it was just kind of like everyone was in a band when they were teenagers, so it wasn't like, you know, talked about in depth more. But and Ed and Jericho have been friends, and then I guess like Ed just was casually bringing up all the crazy stuff that was happening, and Jericho was just like, "This is a movie." Like, and this was in 2017. That's when I was like, I just finished like Fozzy Across America and doing a bunch of videos for Fozzy. So Jericho was like, "Hey, dude, like this is a story. Is this something you're interested in filming?" And I was like, "Yeah, this seems like a really cool story." And then I hit up, like I said, I hit up Ed, and we talked on the phone a few times. And then I started just making trips down to the Brandon, Florida area, and just started filming. So, and then after several trips, and we compiled this doc, and super proud of it. So
that's awesome. What was your initial thought whenever you first met them?
I was like when I met Ed Aborn, I was like, this is like one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. He's just he's so kind and so big-hearted, just the ultimate baby-faced good guy, and absolutely love getting to know him. So I immediately just clicked with him. I believe, like, I forgot who I went down there with first. It might have been like Jaren or something, but I remember Jaren, because Ed is like a huge fan of horror movies and stuff, and Jaren is a huge fan of horror movies. And so Ed has like pinball machines and like all this cool horror memorabilia. He just has a really cool house. And so, you know, Jaren was freaking out, and so everyone just got along. So big fan of Ed, big fan of Doug. Like you said, they're all characters. They're all very unique people. They have some feature about them in their personality that just kind of sticks out than the norm. And all in wholesome ways too. They were all like, I was like, man, I want all these guys just to be my uncles, you know, like these are just the sweetest dudes. And it's a very wholesome tale. It's funny because it's based around something aggressive like heavy metal, but it is a very wholesome friendship. Let's chase our dreams one last time kind of story.
Yeah, even the poster, you know, you got the guitarist, what was his name again? On the poster.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg. It just looks like, oh man, am I about to watch a Satan worshiping documentary with heavy metal? And then you watch it and you're just like, man, these guys are people that I've met. Like, I feel like everyone can relate to some of these characters in some way. Like, oh, I've met this person before, and this person like exemplifies that. But also, what's interesting is just, you know, it's a story that I feel like everyone wants to experience. You know, rekindling old friendships, or talking someone that you used to, you know, hang out with every day.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I guarantee every single person has imagined what it would be like to perform in front of a giant crowd chanting your name. It's everybody. Guaranteed you've thought about that, or you've sung in the shower in your car.
I think about it every day.
You know, it's a very common thing. So everybody can relate to that. Everybody, like, can you imagine being in your 50s, just being a dad, just doing your thing, just being a good dude, and all of a sudden somebody's like, hey, remember that heavy metal band you were in like 35 years ago? Let's bring it back. And let's also bring it over here to Germany. And let's play in front of people who have been, it's their life goal. Like, there's people who were like emotional seeing them play. It was a crazy thing. And watching them get emotional about people getting emotional, it's such a cool thing, man. It was such a beautiful story to kind of tell.
That's amazing. So now that you have, you know, 3 feature-length movies, 2 of them being documentaries under your belt, what's the key goal? What's the key you would say to, you know, getting the right shots, or, you know, asking the right questions in the interview process? Like, how does that all come together?
Well, it's I did like to do a lot of as we're going interviews, and I overshoot. So it's just, I'm always kind of looking at like what would be a good way of kind of conveying what we're currently doing. It's just like, all right, we're at the airport, so I have to like obviously make this a cool transitional kind of thing of how we get from the airport to this person's house. And like, it's just a fun little way of like putting these puzzle pieces together, which is the kind of the coolest way of putting it together. So it's just different for every kind of scene and every moment. Like I said, I record pretty much everything and keep my camera rolling. I work from a really big base before I slowly trim it down to a final product. So I just film everything, and like I said, I've done this for like a really long time. I've done a lot of documentary stuff, so I kind of just know what to look for, and just you got to just find stuff and sentences and moments and B-roll that kind of just carries your story, because I think story is very important. Sometimes I think people get too caught up in having pretty images, or get too caught up in just all this other weird details, but story is very important, and interviews are very important. And also just you should just ask everybody how they're feeling in that moment, or ask them questions about what's happening, and just be like, hey, what are we doing today? Or hey, what just happened? And asking questions that don't warrant a yes or no question, but asking questions that will have people elaborating on everything. And then you just kind of cut it up, make some cool artsy B-roll to throw over it, and find some cool music, and just slowly piece it together. It's just like making a documentary is just like all other forms of art. It's like painting on a canvas. It's just a very slow, time-consuming thing where you just go each little direction, and it's really fun. This was even with when I was talking on the phone with Alicia about MOWERY. It goes for a lot of these bigger projects, because there's a part where the girls have this belt, and they snap the belt, and Alicia was like, yeah, the belt goes whoosh, but I wanted to go more whoosh. Can you we just talk about those little details, and that's why big fan of that. I don't know, that's just the stuff that makes me excited, makes me happy. It's just working.
I'm a big fan of communicating through sound effects.
Yeah, I know. I brought that up to Alicia last time I was at her house. We were just like, man, we do a lot of sound effects when describing. It was then we'll go wah bah bah bah, and then it's going to be and then I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's what a lot of our conversations sound like when I'm pitching ideas. A lot of sound effects, a lot of hand gestures, a lot of this. So, yeah.
That's a special relationship you can have with someone, I think, when you don't even have to say words.
Yeah, you just make weird noises.
Yeah. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on, dude. I wish we could go way more in depth with each one. I mean, each documentary could warrant its own, Portable Trevor Show episode, I think. But Nathan's kind of making his own runs. He's been on some podcasts. He's been on some radio shows. So I'm sure he'll discuss all of those more in depth. Nathan, why don't you go ahead and plug everything in, including Kind Punk?
All right, it's time for the plug part. So, yeah, if you want to watch Relentless, the story of DDP Yoga, you can watch that now for free on Amazon Prime. If you want to watch I'm Too Old for This Shit, a heavy metal fairy tale, you can watch that on Amazon Prime as well. You can watch that on iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, Xbox, and a lot of other places, you can stream some stuff. And that's a really great documentary I'm proud of, so make sure you watch out both of those. MOWERY you can't watch currently, but just follow all things Cherry Bombs. Just online, just follow their social media pages. Follow me on social media. You can follow me on social media at Nathan Mowery. That's NathanMowery. Follow everything Kind Punk's doing at Kind Punk Film. And I'm Nathan Mowery and Kind Punk Film on everything. So slide on my DMs. Let's make a music video or a documentary. You go to Europe with your buddies and you guys had a band back in the 80s, and you guys are about to play a big festival in Europe, and you need somebody to document it. Holler at your boy. So,
wow, that was very specific.
Yeah, just in case, you never know.
Very specific situation. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Nathan, I'm going to cut this out of the funnel, but I think we should have a quick dance party. So pick a good song, and I'll come in your room, and we'll just have at it.
Okay.
So don't play it yet. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Nathan's one of my best friends. I love hanging out with him. Love talking to him. Good landlord. Just a good dude. So good. Please follow him. I wouldn't have had him on if I didn't like him. And also you can follow all my socials at Portable Trevor, at Portable Show on Instagram. If you want all the updates on this show, I got a lot of plans and things that I want to do to this. This is episode 49, by the way. Next episode will be episode 50. That means I've done 50 episodes of this. I've recorded over 50 hours of this show. That is insane to me. That's the most amount of anything I've made for any project. So I love doing this show. I want to take it to the next level. I'm glad this was a great first episode. So thanks for giving that to me, Nathan. And I will see you guys later. Nathan, play us something good.
Let's do it.